I don't know how many times. Um, However, this is how I find it. And you come here, that one right there. What I want to do is go to page one, and you'll find it here. So I'm gonna zoom in and begin reading. All right. So, as you can see, Milwaukee Sentinel, September 27th, 1929. Mind you that Sentinel is, or was at least, the morning paper, the morning news, and the Journal was the evening news. I haven't checked it in years, so I'm not sure as to what the status of it is today, but however, for 1929, Sentinel was the morning news. Okay, Moorish cult Negroes here in a turmoil. First of all, we have Moorish and Negroes. Now, mind you, let's go look up this word cult real fast so everybody will get it out of their head what you're actually. Oh, didn't want to do that. Cult, define. Get it out of your head. It's a system of religious veneration and devotion directed toward a particular figure or object. So, cult is not what you are led to believe, as if people are eating babies and, I don't know, sacrificing animals, and well, in a sense it kind of is, but that's not what's going on here. So anyway, Moorish cult Negroes here in a turmoil, mind you. This is Milwaukee Sentinel. Fatal Chicago row leads to furtive temple meetings. 1,500 Milwaukee Negro members of the Moorish National Science Temple at, and I did the research, and later we'll find that it is 587 and one half Fifth Street. So 587 and a half Fifth Street. 1,500 Milwaukee Negro members of the Moorish National Science Temple at 587 and a half Fifth Street are in a turmoil of excitement over a sanguinary battle that took 2 lives Wednesday in the Chicago temple of their cult. Cultists, who declare they are not Negroes but lineal descendants of Moorish nobles, furtively came and went all day Thursday following a lengthy and noisy general meeting Wednesday night. Special police details patrolled the Negro district in the vicinity of the Fifth Street Temple, which is a former Greystone mansion now nearly in decay. But the officers had no orders to prevent another largely attended meeting Thursday night, at which non-members were barred. Voices loud and angry. Loud and angry voices emanating from the sanctuary of the Bays. However, indicated in the factional strife which tore the Chicago branch asunder is also threatening the Milwaukee cult. This belief is strengthened by statements of Negro leaders who have consistently refused to affiliate with the scientists. The Moorish science cult is facing a revolution among its own followers because its leaders are too greedy for power, said one non-member who lives in the district. The cult is based on prejudice, wields a vast power only through the ruthlessness of its high officers, who will not hesitate to take drastic steps to support members when in trouble and to persecute those who do not affiliate. Cultists are silent. In the face of these charges, the cultists Thursday maintained the silence and secretiveness that has characterized their group since its establishment here several years ago, following organization of the national body by Drew Ali, who called himself a Moor. No one outside the cult has been able to delve into its mysticism, and many who are only on the outer fringe are kept in darkness as to its actual purpose. That it wields a potent influence among Milwaukee's 12,000 to 15,000 Negroes, however, has been amply demonstrated, and I'm assuming that is and municipal judge George A. Shaughnessy can't make that out. Something said not to hesitate to declare Thursday that in no less than 20 Negro trials during the last year, ranging in seriousness from assault and battery to murder, the veiled power of the Bays has been felt. Brothers and brothers. Okay, now it's gonna get really bumpy now. I can't make out that word. They blank into the courtroom when a brother is on trial. He explained. They blank in the courtroom when a brother is on trial. He explained. When the Bay needs friendly witness, there is a lack of volunteers. I can't make that out. That the cult defense fund members run afoul of the, wow, I would really like to make that out. Negro workers express deep I wish I could really make that out. Too bad we can't make this section out right here. Actually it's down in here. I would really like to. Anyway, let's move on. No sense in crying over spilled milk. That is another section that we'll have to figure out. So we're gonna go over to page 6. Once again, I would like to make this full screen. the toolbar and hide the favorites. And is there anything else to hide? Nah. Okay. So we have, as you can see, the date again: Milwaukee Sentinel, Friday, September 27, 1929. Erie Temple of Moorish cult. Page 6. Negro admits slaying cop in cult raid. His ambition to rule Moor group blamed for Chicago riot. Chicago, September 26. AP. A Negro fanatics plot to seize leadership in the quasi-religious mystic society was blamed Thursday by authorities for Wednesday's gun battle that cost the lives of 2 policemen and a belligerent cultist. Ira Johnson, lanky, bewhiskered Negro who calls himself the Grand Sheik of the Moorish Science Temple of America, confessed that he fired the shot that killed Detective William Gallagher. He admitted further, according to Assistant State's Attorney Harry S. Ditchburn, that he had planned to kill Charles Kirkman, whose kidnapping precipitated the shooting of Johnson. Ditchburn asserted. Planned to put Kirkman to a ritualistic death, seize his credentials, and take charge of the cult. He had brought about the kidnapping because Kirkman could not produce papers of Noble Drew Ali, founder of the cult, who died 2 months ago. Let's zoom in some. Menace by the victim's kin. Johnson also stood accused of another slaying when a Negro janitor pointed him out as the one who fatally stabbed Claude Green, international treasurer of the cult, 2 months ago. The Grand Sheik was the target of an attempted attack at the inquest when Fred Hunt, brother-in-law of Gallagher, elbowed his way past witnesses and police and rushed at the Negro, exclaiming, "You've caused a lot of grief for our family." Hunt was restrained by the policeman in admitting killing Gallagher. Johnson asserted he had been beaten by the officers and fired in self-defense. Coroner Herman Bundenson immediately ordered the man examined and announced afterward that there were no signs of a beating. Died from his wounds. Police Jesse B. Holtz, wounded in the gunfight, died late Thursday from his 7 wounds. The cultist killed was John Stephenson, whichever way y'all would like to pronounce that one, who was shot when he fired in answer to an order to drop his gun. State's Attorney John A. Swanson said he would rush the prosecution of Johnson and other Negroes implicated in the trouble and would seek revocation of the cult's state's license. The coroner's jury, consisting of 3 Negroes and 3 white men, adjourned Thursday afternoon after hearing testimony of Johnson, Kirkman, and police who took part in the fight. It will reconvene Friday. Han post to honor namesake's memory. Let me be sure that all right. So it moves over Its litany screamed in the mystery, yet its influence felt throughout the Negro district. Its litany screened in mystery, yet its influence felt throughout the Negro district. A cult has sprung up in Milwaukee and has gained a powerful foothold. It is the Moorish National Science Temple, and attention has been centered upon it by Wednesday's dramatic slaying at the Chicago headquarters of the cult of the Milwaukee Temple at 587 and a half 5th Street is shown above. Arrows indicating the cult's quarters where frequent meetings are held. Okay, so this goes back here. This section here is from page 1. So let me go back to page 1 just to you'll be surprised what's in this newspaper. Alright, I want to go here. Alright, so we couldn't make out that last paragraph, so it's going to be a bit difficult to get to this one. However, we're going to try to make sense of what we can. Just happy that I found it. So nobody else might not like this video, but I do, because it makes sense to me, and I get proof that I actually found it. And so let's continue from page 1, and it starts with easiness period. They add that in the hands of unscrupulous leaders, such power as that gained by the Moors is a constant menace to the peace of every Negro nonconformist. They have learned assert these welfare workers that the cult leaders adjure their followers to marry, if at all, according to the prophet's law, ignoring the laws of the land, and that if any follower elects to practice polygamy, those leaders make it no affairs of theirs. Appeals to imagination. Pomp and ceremony of the temple ritual, the mystery of it all, and the satisfaction of being on the inside, which appeals to the Ethiopian imagination. Actual fear of remaining beyond the pale, induced by threats and intimidation. These are said to be factors that have built up the Milwaukee branch of the Moorish National Science Temple of its present standing. Typical of innumerable instances in which cult members have been brought into court and have defied attorneys' probings relating to secrets of the order, and have been provided with right loyal support from fellow members as witnesses, is the case of E. Smith Bay, charged with assault with intent to kill. It should be explained that upon the acceptance into the ranks of the scientists, individuals are required to add the word Bay to their names, which explains the frequency of that name in the records of this case. Sentence for shooting. The state's case against Smith Bay was that on last Christmas Day he went to 419 Cherry Street, something to the home of Tom and Florence Bay, former members in good standings, who had fallen from grace, and there shot and seriously wounded Tom Bay, the father of 15-year-old girl with whom Smith Bay had had intimate relations. Smith Bay was sentenced to 1 to 15 years in Waupun prison by Judge Shaughnessy. But testimony of several witnesses brought to light interesting things about the Moorish National Science Temple and its adherents. Under oath, the girl who charged Smith Bay was the father of her child, revealed that her only meeting with the defendant had been at the temple, that she had met him there in the first place, and subsequently they had chosen that place as their regular rendezvous. Moreover, she swore that an argument which led up to the shooting of her father developed when Smith Bay insisted that they be married according to the Prophet's law. Refused U.S. ceremony. He refused to go through with the United States marriage, and that their love affair reached an impasse. And Tom Bay testified that he had been a temple member but was not at the time, that Smith Bay was a member of the congregation in good standing. He revealed further, reluctantly, that as a member he had to sit back on the benches, but that Smith Bay sat up in the secret chamber where I couldn't go. Then Tom Bay evidently realized that he was saying too much about the temple secrets, things he dared not to say even as a non-member. For when an attorney asked, "What is the secret chamber?" Tom Bay became sarcastic and remarked, "You have to ask him, darling, because I don't know." Police here on guard. Finally, it may or may not be significant to Samuel E. Turner Bay and Hugh Pryor Bay appeared as defense witnesses. Both are members of the Moorish National Science Temple, and Turner Bay lives at 587.5 Fifth Street, the address of the temple. Milwaukee police have long been aware of the potential menace of the Negro cult, consequently took immediate steps to guard against any repercussion here from the Chicago tragedy. A police officer and a Negro were shot dead. 2 policemen were seriously wounded, and another Negro, known to fellow members of the cult as the Sheik, was shot in the shoulder. In establishing a heavy cordon of guards through the district, Chicago police pointed out that the 1920 race riot grew out a similar episode after the cult had staged a parade of the Star Order of Ethiopia and the Princess of Abyssinia. A naval man was slain at the time when he attempted to prevent burning of the American flag. And that is that. I am just looking through the rest of this paper to see what jumps out. It's crazy actually looking at a 1929 newspaper. So, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, not Wisconsin, but Wisconsin. There you go, 1929 newspaper of the Sentinel. Remember, if it don't say Moorish, it ain't about nothing. Casanova Bay.